Hello and welcome to our first reading workshop of the year. This one is based on our Foundations for Phonics reading stage. At Elmhurst, we are aiming for every child to be a successful reader, and this starts now in our early years classes. We place high importance on children's communication language, phonics and reading, and support the development of these through daily exposure to nursery rhymes and a specific rhyme of the week, daily story sessions and daily phonics lessons, well-planned literacy lessons. We have inviting reading areas both inside and outside, as well as print and books across the environment, and quality adult interactions and an enabling environment. And an enabling environment means that children are engaged in their learning, they're talking more to their peers and to the adults, they're listening, they're accessing the learning. We have ensured that our reading and phonics closely align. We follow the Little Wandle Letters and Sounds Revised phonics programme and the Big Cat Collins reading book scheme. At the moment, your children are learning their Phase 2 sounds, which is why they have the Foundations for Phonics wordless reading books to go home. Soon they'll be moving on to their Phase 2 magenta books. So the benefits of early reading. Teaching your child to read early and read well has multiple benefits, and it's the key to your child's academic future. At a younger age, learning is faster than it would be when the child grows up. Children who learn to read joyfully at home become more independent and confident, and reading improves listening attention and concentration. Reading also improves linguistic skills, and early readers have a rich vocabulary, correct grammar, improved writing, better spelling, and more articulate oral communication. Early readers can recognise a larger number of words by sight, and this enables them to learn more from and about their environment. Their proficiency in reading also enables them to comprehend more of what they are reading. That means they can understand what they have read. Reading improves general knowledge and sparks curiosity about people, places, and things. It exposes children to a range of problem-solving techniques and ignites the child's creativity and imagination. So things that they may read in a book, they probably want to learn about in real life. And there are many effective ways of sharing Big Cat Collins books, and research shows that it's good to have a balance of those. So dialogic, where the children are active participants in the reading. They not only read the text, but they also talk about the book, what's happening in the pictures, what they see. Pause reading, where the adult pauses and encourages their child to talk. Use of props or objects, and this is particularly effective in children with low levels of language. And use of elaborative reminiscing, where the adult and the children relate events in the story to events in the children's lives. And it is important that over time children have a balance of these styles. So where do we start? Well, each of your children have started taking home wordless books, and wordless books are stories told entirely through their illustrations. So they are books without words, or in some cases very few words, but they provide the children with an opportunity to have literally rich conversations, really focusing on the pictures, developing their listening attention, their understanding and their vocabulary. And it also reinforces the idea that in many books, the story and the pictures are connected. So later down the line, when they start having books with words, they'll be able to link the word to the pictures. They're taking home one book a week, and we have started taking the children to the library, and after half term, they'll also be getting a library book each week as well. Please read with your child 5 times a week. They may wish to read their books from home, the library book, or of course their book that we've given them from school. And how to teach them. So it can seem a little strange at first, opening a book with no words and thinking kind of where to start. But like I say, they do have many, many benefits. So I'll start by looking at the front cover, talk about the title, and make a few predictions about what might happen either in the fiction story or in the non-fiction story. Take a picture walk through the book and enjoy the illustrations. Talk about what you see, look at the expression on the characters' faces, the setting, the use of colour, predict what might happen next. And enjoy the pictures together. Extend their vocabulary by introducing new words, which describe things in the pictures and explain what they might mean. So, for example, a child might say they're pulling. This is where you could introduce the word tugging. Just to develop that vocabulary, broaden their speech and develop their understanding of words. You could ask questions from the book, think about what you might point out, what vocabulary could you teach them. For example, some children may know that that's a turnip, other children may not, and you can create a real life experience from this. So you could go to the shop and go and buy a turnip and really link that object to what they see in their pictures. Think about the characters' faces and describe what might be happening on the front cover. Then later on, you could, on another day, you could read the story together again, with you this time acting as the role model for your child. So really use expression, if possible add some props to add detail and drama, use different voices for each character and add sound effects. Model and encourage the use of new vocabulary. So if, when looking at the front cover, you introduce the word tugging, keep using that word again, same with scarecrow or turnip. Make sure you're using that vocabulary again throughout the story so they really learn it and it becomes embedded in their language. Help your child to expand their sentences or thoughts by encouraging them to add further information. One way to do this is by asking W questions, for example, who, where, when, why, and what. Another way to do this is by extending their vocabulary. So if your child says, hooray, the boy and the girl are happy, you can ask why they're happy. They may say why that is, because the enormous turnip was pulled out of the soil. You can extend that by putting that together. Hooray, the boy and the girl were happy because the enormous turnip was pulled out of the soil. And that's a good way to extend your child's vocabulary and their language. At the back of many of the books, there is something called a text map, and it looks a bit like this. So it's screenshots of each page, and it's a really good way to encourage your child to talk about what happened, to read it again, but just from the text map. Gives you a chance to ask some comprehension questions and also just recap what happened. So, for example, you could ask questions such as, what pictures helped you tell the story or the text? What was your favourite part and why? And have you had an experience like this? So, for example, do you remember when we went to the shop and saw a turnip? Or remember when we saw a scarecrow at the farm? Just links back to their own experiences. You may also be able to find, either in the library or online, or books that you have at home, books that are similar to or linked to the story that you have just read. So, for example, if they read The Big Turnip, you could then read books like Super Potato or Oliver's Vegetables. It links to the theme and they may be able to link the two stories together. We are really lucky to have a library at Elmhurst, and this is full of high quality reading books. We'll be going once a week. My class will be going on a Monday afternoon and Miss Bruce's on a Tuesday. We have half-an-hour slots where children can look at stories on their own or with a friend and also enjoy a class story together at the end of the session. After half term, they'll be taking a book home each week, and we do ask that you bring that back either on a Monday or Tuesday so they can get a new book to read with you at home. And just when reading the Big Cat Collins books, we do ask that when you're reading with your child, you do look at the front cover, make predictions, gain anticipation and some excitement about the story. Share your passion and enthusiasm when reading. If you're enthusiastic, they'll be enthusiastic. Encourage the children to join in with repeated refrains. So if you're reading The Gingerbread Man, for example, they can repeat the run as fast as you can. Use different voices and expressions. Trigger curiosity and invite participation by wondering out loud. So for example, you just say, I wonder why, or I think that means, and by you doing it, they are encouraged to do it as well. And read stories over and over again. Hearing words repeatedly is crucial to children learning new language. So reading and phonics. Phonics is recommended as the first strategy that children should be taught in helping them to learn to read. Words are made up of 4 small units of sounds called phonemes. So, for example, a word like sat is made up of 3 phonemes, s, at, and that builds the word. Children are taught to blend, so they sound each word out and then they blend it together to read the word. And below are some of the sounds we'll be learning this half term in preparation for your children to have them in their phase 2 books. So we are already up to the end of week 3. This shows the phonics and early reading stage overview for the year. So children have taken home Foundations for Phonics reading books, and they are learning phase 2 sounds in the class. They will be assessed each half term once they have learnt the sounds, and this is done to ensure they are ready for the next phase. The books your child reads at home are with the sounds they already know, and this means that they should be able to read with 95% fluency. Repetition and practice are key in this process of developing their reading confidence, and this is why we ask that you read 5 times a week. At the beginning of Autumn 2, your child should have moved to phase 2 books. Whilst children should be moving on to the phase 2 sounds at the end of this half term, we do understand that every child is unique and they may develop at a different pace to others. Children who are not ready to move on to the next reading stage will be given additional support with their reading and phonics in school. Each week we'll be sharing a short presentation on the phonemes we have learnt in school that week, and we ask that you share this with your child whilst also revisiting previous sounds to embed the ones that they have already learnt. A presentation on how to support your child in phonics and phase 2 reading will be shared at the beginning of Autumn 2. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask myself or Miss Bruce. Thank you and happy reading.